Holly, come back.
I'm coming. Sorry, I'm not going to grab all of them because I have like over
No, I
30
know.
books. So.
I know that. Okay. So we're recording here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Children's Literature channel of the New Books Network. I'm your host, Mel Rosenberg, and today I'm with an exceptional human being, a Canadian, Canada, Holly Hatam. Holly, welcome.
Thank you so much.
And as they say in Iranian and Persian, Haushumadi.
Oh, that's lovely that you know that.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the interview. Unfortunately for me, I don't interview enough illustrators. And you are an illustrator of over 30 picture books. You've also written several yourselves, which I love, your series. I'll have it here. Dragons are real, fairies are real, mermaids are real, unicorns are real. And certainly they come to life in your, they're board books, right?
Yes.
And that's wonderful. And you've illustrated several amazing picture books, which we'll talk about. And today we want to talk about your life, your career, your breakthrough, your style, and to show some of the books that you've generously lent your wonderful hand to making the text come to life. So let's start. I read a bit about you. Let's start a bit with the moment that changed your life 10 years ago.
That moment was when I had just signed with my current agent. When she signs a new illustrator, she will usually send a welcome email out to all the creative directors and editors that she has on our list. And within 20 minutes of sending out that email, a creative director from Harper Collins responded back and immediately offered me 2 book deals. And the advance was an advance that I never thought I would get, especially for someone who was new. No one knew who I was at this time. And she didn't even have a book project for me. She just wanted to sign me in case someone else did, I guess.
And this was Harper Collins, no less.
Yes, Harper Collins.
Yes, and the agent is Christy Ottaviano, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about these interviews is that there's all these serendipitous coincidences. Last week, I had Rosa Boss on the show, and she's also represented by Christy Ottaviano.
Oh, that's nice.
So look her up, and I'll write to her that I interviewed you. That's very cool. And and tell Christy that maybe I should have her now on the show also.
You should.
She represents such wonderful people. So so how did you find, it's so hard for illustrators and authors to break in, to find agents. It's 1 in a zillion billion, and you found a remarkable agency. How did that happen?
I was lucky enough that Christy found me. And at that moment, I was already with another agent that I was trying to get out of the contract because I just did not vibe with them. And Christy happened to find my work somewhere. She emailed me. I unfortunately had to tell her no at that time because I couldn't sign with someone new. And then months later, when I was able to get released from the contract, I got back in contact with Christy and signed with her immediately.
And this is incredible because, you know, your background is in graphic design. You made a living for almost a decade illustrating wedding invitations.
I did, yeah.
And I can see the beginning of your artwork. These cute characters with these very chubby faces. And very sketched out, and these characters come to life now in your renditions of cute little kids.
Yeah, I did not enjoy graphic design, and I didn't enjoy the wedding invitations, but I'm thankful for this whole journey because that was the starting point of my style that has evolved into what it is now. So everything happens for a reason.
So in the 2 years between getting an advance from Harper Collins and getting two incredible and famous books to illustrate, what were you doing?
I was starting to, because I signed with Christy, I was starting to get the book projects. So I had quite a few on the go before Harper Collins found a book for me, or they created a book specifically for me to illustrate, which turned out to be Dear Girl.
Dear Girl and then Dear Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And these are very successful, award-winning children's books. And that's wonderful. You have any of them to wave around and show our audience?
I do. I have, so.
You're a bit dark. Maybe it's early morning in Ontario. Wow, beautiful.
So this is what started my whole career. So this book.
Can you open it up? Can you open it up and show a spread or two? So we have a video cast so people can see you, and then a podcast with NBN where people are going to have to run out and buy your book.
So I can show you the page that has been resonating with so many people. It's been tattooed on people's bodies so many times. This is the page that I get people are really resonating with. So it's cool to see when people send me photos of my art tattooed on their bodies.
Okay, and usually I interview the authors. This is a little bit upside down for me. So who are the authors of these wonderful books?
This is Amy Krauss Rosenthal. Unfortunately, she passed away right before the book came out, and she co-wrote it with her daughter, Paris.
And where do they live?
I believe Paris grew up in Chicago. I think she lives in New York now.
So when you were working on these, were you in touch with the authors? Did you have free rein to illustrate as you like?
I corresponded with Amy a couple of times. She was really ill at the time when I was illustrating the book, so we were rushing it so she could at least see the finished book, which she got to see. She just unfortunately didn't see it released out in the wild.
And Dear Boy?
Dear Boy was written by her husband and Paris, which is right here.
Okay, and show us something from this lovely book too, please. Wonderful. So do illustrators, I usually interview authors because I have some limited understanding of picture books from the textual side. Okay. And I have no idea really. I just had a book come out and the illustrator did a marvelous job, but for me, it's like a miracle. I can't draw stick figures. So run me through the process of how it happens, how this magic happens.
So usually the publisher will get in contact with my agent and ask if I'm available or if I would like to do the project. They send them.
Holly, come a bit closer so we can see your beautiful face.
I'm sorry, everyone. My lighting is terrible.
Your lighting is not that good.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is any better?
It's a bit better, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so once I get the manuscript, if I enjoy it or if I can immediately envision the text come to life in illustrations, I will say yes. And then either I will begin sketching the character designs if it's important to the book. And once the character design is finalized, then I move on to the sketches, which can take quite a long time, depending on how many back and forths I go with the editor and how many revisions is required. And then once the sketches are finalized and I get the green light, that's when I begin painting, which can take another several months. By the time the book comes out in the store, you have forgotten about the book because it can take years, at least 1 year. Some books can take longer. It just depends.
Incredible. So I'm going to ask you now a question. You don't have to answer it. Do you think that illustrators are hard done by? You know, I interview all kinds of authors, and they show me the pictures, and we mention the illustrators, but illustrations are at least half of the book. Do you think that illustrators have a chip on their shoulder because they feel, I don't know?
Oh, this is such a hard question to ask because I don't want to offend anybody. There's like no hard feelings towards authors, but as illustrators, yes, we do have a chip on our shoulders. I believe we're expected of a lot from publishers, and you know, they want things yesterday. And it takes, I don't know if people realize it can take months, sometimes years, to work on a 32-page picture book. And I feel a lot of the attention goes to the author, and we're just the secondary characters in the background. And I'm not saying all authors, but some authors, when they talk about the book, they don't mention the illustrator. They'll just say my book when it's, you know, a collaboration. So I don't mean to offend. I'm just saying from illustrators' point of view, I have a lot of illustrator friends, and we are constantly talking about this stuff.
No, it's very important because as somebody who's gone through the process from the text side, you know, I'm in awe of my illustrators, but I should have more illustrators like you on my program, even though I'm really not a maven in the illustration process, but it is so important. You are the people who give wings to our stories.
It's a collaboration. We need an author and we need the illustrator. I feel like we're just equally as important.
Well, in the final product, at least the illustrator is equally important to the author. Let's now take you back to young Holly. You are an international figure in your own right. A few words on that.
It makes me so uncomfortable to even think that. Like, in what sense are you talking about?
You're international. You're
my background.
Yeah. No, listen. One second. Hold on. As a figure, as an illustrator, you are definitely international, award-winning. You have illustrated books written by very famous people, and now you're very famous, and you've written several of your own. And I mentioned Harper Collins, but your 4 board books, which I want to talk about a little bit, which you've also written. So you can't have a chip on your shoulder as far as the author is concerned, because you're the author. Were published by none other than Random House, and that's miraculous. Well, let's talk about your miracle. So when I say international, I mean your background, your family background, Iran, Canada, China. Tell us about it.
So my parents are Iranian. I was born in Louisiana in the States, but I moved to Canada when I was 2, and my husband is Chinese, so my son is biracial.
So are you proud Canadians?
Yes. I mean, I still hold the American passport, but I identify as a Canadian because I've been here all of my life.
And do you think that this international nature of Holly, we talked about names. I like talking about names on the show. I never get to interview John Smith. Everybody has an interesting name. And Holly is not an Iranian name. And a Persian, it would probably be Hatam, your family name. But probably everybody knows you as
Hatam,
Holly Hatam. But you have this sensitivity to foreign culture.
My first name's not even Holly. My real name is Holly.
And I'm not surprised either. So do you think that this multicultural, diverse background helps you in your thinking, in your artwork?
Yes, a lot. And it's important to me. And that's why you'll find that in a lot of my books, if I am given freedom, the main character will always be a little kid of color, just because that's not what I grew up seeing in books and TV. So if I have any opportunity to showcase that in my books, I will. And it's especially important because now that I have a biracial son, I don't want him to grow up the same way I did, thinking that he's invisible.
Did you think that you were invisible, Holly?
As a kid, yes, a lot. I tried to hide. I never talked about my culture. I tried to hide in the background. I was a very, very shy kid. I never talked about my family life. I hated the way I looked.
And but in your biography as a young kid, you were drawing all the time, right?
All the time. I was always drawing and reading.
And this was kind of an escape for you?
I just loved, reading and going into these magical worlds. And it's what I've always wanted to do. I knew from a little kid that I wanted to write and illustrate books.
Mm-hmm. But you didn't pursue it. You didn't study illustration. You studied graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
Which is different.
I lost the confidence in myself. I didn't think I was a good enough illustrator to even apply to study that in college. And with my high school teacher said that I was showing strength in graphic design. So from her advice, that's what I went to school to study. And I did not enjoy it for 3 years. I stuck through it. I did it, which I'm grateful for because it gave me the tools. I learned all of the programs that I use to this day to illustrate.
As a Canadian, where did you study?
I went to 2 schools. I went to Sheridan College in Oakville for a year where I studied 1 year. I got to study every aspect of art. And then I went to Fanshawe to study graphic design, which is in London, Ontario. Yeah. Yeah, not England.
And did you manage to graduate?
Yes, from both.
Yeah, wonderful. And so then you're a graphic designer, but you don't want to be a graphic designer.
No, I actually, from graduating school, I got a job right out of graduation. That's when we moved to Toronto, and I hated it. I got fired from that first job. I don't know why. And then I got another job and I got fired from that job. They told me that I'm too slow, that I take too much time designing stuff. And they just wanted a designer that pumped out work. And that just wasn't who I was. So then once I got fired from 2 jobs, I'm like, I'm not going back. And I started freelancing as a designer, struggling to make ends meet. And then that's when I started the wedding invitation business. I had designed an invitation for one of my friends, and it just started to snowball from there. People were asking me. So
you have at least 2 angels in your life.
2 agents?
Angels.
Oh, angels.
You have the Angela of the wedding invitation. Who's that?
Who is the angel?
The Angela of your first wedding invitation. Do you remember?
She was my friend, Melissa. She asked me to illustrate her wedding invitation.
But there was an Angela there somewhere.
Maybe Angela?
Maybe the girl who got married. We'll check later.
Okay.
And then so you built a career, a successful, perhaps not lucrative one, but a successful career, designing wedding invitations.
I mean, it was paying the bills barely. There were times where we didn't know how we would pay for rent. But then once I got pregnant in 2013, we realized we couldn't do this. So my husband, who had quit his job before to help me run the business, he went back to a regular office job. He's also a graphic designer. And I shut down the wedding invitation business. I hated it. And I said, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it when the baby comes. And that's when I started focusing on illustration. Throughout this whole time, I was still drawing. So I had a lot of artwork that I could just throw up on a website and soon after, I believe I was still pregnant when I got my first book deal, which was very, very small. This little book of poetry for kids. I don't even know if it's in print anymore, but that was my foot in the door.
And actually, that's funny because one of the first poems is about a foot that falls asleep.
Yeah,
but
you've done your homework.
I try, but you had a book deal, and then everything snowballed. And I think it's terrific because you must realize that what happened to you is like 1 in 1,000 illustrators or 1 in 10,000 illustrators. And I know you're going to have trouble answering this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I'll ask it. You don't have to answer. What do you think it is about your artwork that is so special? I can tell you what I think, but I'm not a maven. What do you think?
I think from what people have told me is that I'm very open and raw with my illustrations, and everything I draw comes from deep within. It's usually something I'm thinking about or struggling with, and I just put my emotions on the paper, and I think others can feel that emotion and they relate to it, and they think, especially if it's something to do with anxiety and mental health. I have a lot of people saying, thank you for doing that. I felt so alone. I relate to your art. So I think that's what it is.
Okay, I'll tell you what I think as somebody who's not a maven. Your facial expressions are poignant and simple at the same time.
Oh, that's lovely.
They suck in a lot of empathy from the observer. Do you want to show a few of your wonderful?
Here's a facial expression.
Yeah, and you have this style with your faces that are a little bit pulled out like your wedding invitations, like chubby faces, big eyes, yeah, big eyes, lots of expression, and I don't know if you know this, but there's a science of cuteness.
Yes.
And scientifically, if you draw children with big heads and big eyes, they're going to suck in empathy.
Well, as I tell my son every day, you're so cute, I just want to bite you.
Yeah. So I think that I really think that is one of the gifts. Do you have your board books available anywhere?
I have
these ones. Yeah, the unicorns are real. This is Holly and Holly. Holly the writer and Holly the illustrator. So I think that these books are the most you. How did they happen? How did they happen?
So the first 4 came as a series idea to in my brain, and it's unicorns are real, dragons are real, fairies are real, and mermaids are real. And it was honestly just an excuse for me to draw unicorns because I'm obsessed with them. It's all around my studio. You'll just find unicorns everywhere. So it was just an excuse for me to draw unicorns all day.
Yes, but you have books on dragons and the other. So I love the premise here. That you start out. Show the picture like where you. Of course, they're real. They have this and they have that, and they're made out of metal and yes, hugs and kisses and magic and chocolate and glitter, sunshine. So all these things are real. How could they not be real? And then the book plays between the imaginary and the real, which I love. Do you want to read some of it, please?
Read some of it?
Yeah, one of your favorites. If you want to read the unicorn, that's fine.
Unicorns frolic and prance in the forest. Did you want me to read the entire book?
No.
I'll show you
I don't want to get into copyright difficulties here.
Unicorns wear golden Fridays and zebra stripes on Saturdays. This was one of my favorite pages to do, just because they're so sassy.
Yeah. And where's the one with the empty hangers?
Sorry, the
There's one with
empty,
empty hangers.
the
Maybe a different
hangers.
book. Maybe it's a different book.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, you drew it.
This is all little kids' favorite page, unicorns,
Yeah,
tiny puffs of cotton candy.
that's
I
great.
had to put in a potty joke in there.
Of course. What's a good unicorn book without a potty joke?
I agree.
But for me, there's a deeper significance here because this interplay between when does an imaginary thing become real?
To me, they're real.
Exactly. When I was a kid, I was going to say when I was your age, but now I'm talking about being 4 and 5 years old. That's my next question. I had 2 books on Peter Pan, each one illustrated by different illustrators. And I used to drive my dad crazy. But because which was the real Peter Pan? This one or that one? So for kids, of course, they are real. And once you've created the book, they become real to an extent. So this is the segue into my next question. Are you a 5-year-old, Holly?
In my brain, I believe I am. I always say, I tell everyone I feel like I'm still 19 years old.
Well, but 19 is big compared to 5.
True. Little kid at heart.
I think that you draw, I feel that you draw to the 5-year-old inside you. That's how I feel.
It's more fun that way. I don't feel adults, why do we have to be so serious all the time? That takes the joy out of life.
I'm with you. So this is something I've never asked an illustrator, but this is fun, and I'm really happy. I want to thank your publicist who introduced us. Angela, another Angela in your life. Angela Melamed, right? And I'm really thank you, Angela, for introducing us. This is special. So Holly, I'm going to ask you now, because for me, you're mostly an illustrator.
Yes.
But you also have the sensitivity of an author. Okay. And probably you're going to go ahead illustrating picture books, which is something you do so well, and you've had such success in this. Your imaginary author, what do you want to tell your imaginary author, the him or her? What advice do you have to give to authors? You can give advice to illustrators if you want, but I want you to see whether you can give advice. What do you want to see when Random House or Harper Collins sends you a text of a story?
I think it's the same thing I would tell illustrators, is just write about what you love and it will shine through on the page. That's what I always tell illustrators. Draw what you love and you will feel the emotion emanating from the page. So I feel it's the same advice I would give to authors. Like for me, I loved unicorns and everything magic. And I wrote those 4 books within the day and I sold it to Random House. And I just feel it's because I write what I love, and I know if I struggle, if I'm trying to force something, whether it's writing or with my art, it comes out flat.
Okay, but so let's proceed with this, okay? Let's say you love unicorns, but I, as an author, I want to write a story about the pink taxiderm in the room. You don't like taxiderms. You've never drawn a taxiderm. You don't know a taxiderm from Adam. How do I know that if my book gets accepted, that the illustrator is going to be at one with the story?
Well, I feel like an illustrator that doesn't know what a taxiderm is will not accept the job, or they will do a lot of research before they go ahead and do it. So you trust.
Yeah, but Holly.
Yeah.
No, but what happened? Like I felt in my book that the illustrator, at some stage, it became her book. Okay, and that's when the magic happened. Am I mistaken? Is there a phase when you're doing the sketches or whatever that it becomes your book too, that you become a part of the text?
Oh, of
Or am
course.
I?
No, of course. Like when I do a book, it's all me, especially if I'm given the creativity. I usually never even deal with the author. It's all through the publisher. So usually the author, once they submit their manuscript, it's out of their hands and then they've done their part. So now I get to do what I'm good at.
Okay, but is there a moment when you look at the text and you say, "Oh, I know how I'm going to make this mine"?
That's the only reason I will accept a manuscript. If I'm reading it and I can already picture the drawings in my head, I know that I have to do it, and I know that it will come through in the art.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's not going to be fun.
No, I've turned down manuscripts before because just by reading them, I didn't like connect with it. So I knew in that instance, I can't do it.
So do you think, on the show, we have a lot of advice for aspiring authors, but nobody's ever given advice to say, show your text to an illustrator or two. See whether they can get excited about it. Is that good advice?
That's good advice. Yeah, for sure. That is. Well, I didn't think of that, but that's really good advice.
Okay, so I might surprise you and send you something one of these days. What other suggestions do you have? You're young and you've already, you're way up there. You feel like that you're in some la la land of being on top of the mountains, or do you feel that you have pinnacles to climb?
No, I still have big dreams. Like even though I've written books, they're board books. I have yet to publish my own picture book. So that's the next goal.
Wow. Talk about that for a few minutes. Wow.
It's
that doesn't appear in your bio or your website.
No, I've been writing since I was a little kid. I love it, but people don't realize how hard writing a picture book manuscript is. You have to tell a whole story in 1,000 words or less, right? It is hard. I have been writing manuscripts for years and I have yet to get a deal for one. So I try to practice my writing as much as I can. So that's my next big lofty goal.
Wow. That's amazing. I wouldn't even know what to say to you. If I were to give you advice, it would be write something that you don't plan to illustrate.
Oh.
Because otherwise you're always going to be moving towards your unicorns.
That's true. All of my stories have a magical element to them.
Yeah. So say what would happen? Put yourself in my shoes for a moment. I should be so lucky as to sell a manuscript, and I have no control. It's going to go to some illustrator, and that's wonderful, because then you're able to make a framework for an illustrator. But I'm thinking that if you're an author and illustrator, you're going to want to make a framework that's your framework. Mm-hmm. Can Holly write a manuscript for somebody else who's going to illustrate it?
That's actually very interesting because I'm such a control freak. So it would be a good exercise for me to do. And then I feel whoever illustrates it, will I be critiquing every single page? That's what I know.
No, you don't get to see it.
Oh, okay.
That's the exercise, you see.
That is very genius. That's a good, thank you for that tip. I'm going to do that.
Okay. And thank you for being so open.
Of course.
And candid with the audience. I think that's terrific. Show us a few more spreads because we're running out of time.
Do you have a specific?
No, I'm going to let you pick the year.
This is my latest book, and it was my most favorite one to ever work on. A Good Deed. It was just because my values, a lot of my art has to do with kindness and nature, and this is exactly what this book is about.
Okay.
My favorite.
And yes, it's a wonderful feel-good book. And it's written by an author who's famous for other genres.
Oh, my favorite. The day that I got that email to say, we want you to illustrate Jennifer, because she wrote the, oh my gosh, the scavenger hunt books that I was such a fan of. Like, I've read all of them. So that email was a dream come true to get.
So are you in touch with Jennifer Bertman?
Yep.
So let's get her on the show.
We should. She's so lovely.
Did you show her the pictures?
Beforehand, I don't think I did.
Okay, I want to bring her on the show and ask her from her side, because this wonderful book is a departure for her, because she's so famous in writing for older teenage kids and so on.
It was her first picture book that she wrote.
Yeah, it just came out a few months ago.
Yeah, and is it April? In April, yeah. A
Good Deed can grow, and you were the wonderful illustrator of this very heartwarming book.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you? I
don't think so.
Okay, so listen, it's early morning in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. It's almost evening here in Tel Aviv, and I have been incredibly lucky to interview Holly Hatam and talk about her life and her craft and her emotional journey in becoming an international, in many ways, illustrator and sometimes author. And Holly, I hope that we'll be in touch, and I'll be able to interview you when you have a picture book of your own that is, whether or not you're the illustrator.
Thank you so much. This has been lovely.
Then you'll have to give credit to the illustrator, you know. So
of course.
I just wrote it.
Yeah.
It's been quite incredible having you. Thank you very much, Angela Melamed, for bringing us together. And this is Mel Rosenberg, the host of the Children's Literature Channel of the New Books Network. And I have had a wonderful time with Holly Hatam. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Take care and keep your marvelous, colorful, wide open illustrations coming.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely.
It's been great talking to you.
Thank you.